Good morning and welcome to Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe. My name is Lisa Ferraro, and this morning I am so honored to have two brilliant humans with us here at SoulCall Ministries. Reverend Christie Hardwick is joining us from St. Petersburg, Florida, and Artistic Director of Destiny Arts, Sarah Crowell. Thank you both for joining us, and she's coming to us from Oakland, California. Thank you so much for joining us at SoulCall Ministries this morning. We wanted to open the dialogue for Black Lives Matter and to magnify the magnificence is what Reverend Christie's vision is for helping us to navigate as a community and coming together in the common unity of one human race with unique expressions of the divine. This is what we are. This is our soul's calling, is each unique, but we all come from that spark of the infinite flame. And so I am going to turn it over to you, Reverend Christie, and help us to navigate with love and incorporate the passion for magnificence at the same time we're dealing with such a challenge.
Yes, and thank you so much, Lisa. So this idea came to me, and I was thinking about my recent pilgrimage to the South. I had avoided the South all my life, and I felt like I really needed to walk in the footsteps of the leaders of the civil rights movement. And I was so afraid to be there. I was afraid to take the walk from the place where the slave ships landed and the enslaved people were taken across in chains, and the place where they were auctioned off, and to be at the church where the bombs went off, and to take the walk of people who were fighting for their lives against dogs and hoses and all those things, because I'd been able to stay in a little bubble many times in my life and just not really let it sink in. I just didn't think I could do it, right? Mm-hmm. So I went. And the beauty of the thing was it did break me in some ways and break open my heart, but it also made me realize the resilience and the strength and the magnificence of the people that I come from, because they had been through so much effort to keep them down, but it was not possible. We arrived with not even a stitch of clothing on our backs, and yet the culture of the United States of America is coming from the people who were forced to be here. You look at anything across the board, music, entertainment, sports, all of it, culture, style, the best of us was influenced and inspired by the people that were brought in by force. So even without anything, we brought in this beauty. So I recognized that when I was there. I recognized it on those walks. I walked with them. I felt the pain of it. And then I felt the amazing ability to rise up. So there's a beautiful Ricky Byers song, and I've always wanted to cover it because it's so important. But one of the lines she says in there, "No mistakes have been made in God. All the ways that we seem to fail, in God all faith. It all fades into God." And some people don't use the word God, but they use the word love, or they use the word, universe, they use the word, the collective of us. But all these mistakes that we seem to be making on the planet and among ourselves and people, they can fade into something greater if we recognize the magnificence. So I have total compassion for the pain that we're feeling. And I hold our magnificence at the same time.
Yeah. Thank you.
It all fades into God. It all fades into love. I love that. I love that song.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder. The way that your song, Reverend Christie, just like vibrated into my cells. What came for me was a line, and I want to give credit to this, and I don't remember it because menopause, and so the source I'll find later, but they tried to bury us, but they did not know that we were seeds. And that was sort of thematic for a piece of dance theater that I co-created with a group of young people and professional artists a few years ago called Seed Language. And for me, it's like when you talk about the resiliency of Black people, that image just came. So many images, so much art has been created from that resiliency. It's the resiliency of Black people, the resiliency of African people, the resilience of any people who have been invisibilized. It's magnificent. There is that word magnificence that you're bringing up is so perfect for me at this moment. It's magnificent. If that is so, then what else do we say? But we sing into ourselves. We sing into each other's eyes. We allow our hearts to be open despite the ways that we have been, the knees have been at our necks. You know, despite that, we rise. It is magnificent what is possible. And what if we, I was saying to Lisa before you came on, but what if we recognize the ways that we have our necks on pieces of our own, our knees on the piece of our own necks? You know, how about we just remove it, gently, compassionately remove the knee from our own necks, the knee of injustice from the necks of any pieces of our community. Like what is the ignorance what ignorance can we unveil, and how do we stand fully and naked before God? How do we do that? And what does that mean for each of us? For each of it, it's different. You know, for you, Reverend Christie, maybe it's that just spontaneously bursting into song that brings us to tears. For me, it's sitting with young people and co-creating dance theater work that's about what's passionate for them, for supporting them to come up with fine artistic expression of who they are and what their emotions are and what their dreams are and what they're, you know, shifting and giving access to ways that we can co-create destiny. You know, that's the name of the organization that I've run for 30 years, or co-run with many people. How do we shift that anger? You know, yes, anger and rage are appropriate. And then how do we use that river of emotion to shift and transmute into love? You know, that's what's interesting to me. But how do we all find that magnificence and then shine that light onto it inside our own darkness?
Mm-hmm. Yes, beautiful. And I don't think it's by denying what we're feeling. That's the thing that I like to remind myself, you know, that grief is actually a way of coping with this, feeling the grief, you know, feeling it, noticing the shortness of my breath, and then taking that deep breath as an act of purpose, something I can do on behalf of those without breath now. Is I can take my breath on their behalf. And it doesn't mean I'm not feeling it all, but I am not going to be able to be there for the moving forward if I let myself be completely paralyzed and debilitated. Yeah. So my work is to stay able, just to stay able. Yeah.
I appreciate the magnificence also in the breath. It's like, so envisioning us taking breaths for each other and holding our heads high and strong and proud and beautiful. I know what you're touching on now. I was counseling somebody yesterday who slept for almost 12 hours straight, 13 hours straight, just because of the weary nature of a thing that it just keeps coming. It feels different this time. It feels like there's some palpable materialization taking place, that this time it's gonna flip. I can't articulate it any better than that. It's the feeling, it's the youth sweeping into it who appreciate the uniqueness of each other in a way that's profound in this country. I want to send that back to you and just get some more thoughts on that magnificent nature. So something that we can all be doing for each other is breathing deeply and inhaling light, exhaling light, and holding a proud, high, beautiful vision. as we move through this as one human race, following the call of our soul, which is unity again. It's coming back to the one.
And it can be enough. It can be enough, that alone. So I want all my brothers and sisters not to feel like they have to be the one that solves the police brutality problem themselves, that solves for the systemic racism that's in all of our institutions themselves.
Yeah.
They can do that breathing and being luminous, and from that place be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And we're calling on our non-Black brothers and sisters to drive ahead with the agenda and get this work done that needs to get done.
Yeah.
And the thing I want to just say is, please get prepared for discomfort. Please get prepared for extenuated pain in our communities, because to break something that has been relentlessly favoring one group of people will mean it's going to be painful for you when we break it so that it's possible to favor all people. So get ready for that discomfort. I'm going to ask my friends to say, look, if you're really serious about this, we're going to need to have some really difficult conversations about some things that have relentlessly favored you in the past that will not favor you in the future. That is the state that you say that you're interested in. So let's have those conversations. Let's be prepared to take something down and then build something up. It's a long haul.
Yeah. Do you think this global pandemic kind of started it? It's going to make it different. We're already seeing systems crumble, or we're questioning a lot of what we thought made us safe, or so many things are shifting and changing. We're watching patriarchy kind of die, finally, little by little, maybe not fast enough for some of us, but finding this balance of the rise of the divine feminine. It's no mistake that I just recognize we've got 3 women rising to the consciousness that wants to come through and trying to put it into heart, into motion, into words. Sarah, we have just a few more minutes. What might you offer into, not necessarily anything I just said about the global pandemic, but what's coming through for you at this moment?
So interesting. There's so many things swirling in the world right now. And so the pandemic and the feeling of being cooped up inside, and the way that the illness, that coronavirus affects the lungs, and then George Floyd and so many who couldn't breathe, and that's how they went out. It's like, and then talking about taking that deep breath together. And when you were saying that, every time someone says, take a deep breath, I'm like, oh, yes, remember to breathe. And then yesterday I read the words of George Floyd as he was dying under the knee of that police officer. I read that to my mother, who's African American, and we just wept together. And there was something about that. There was something about weeping together, grieving together. The show that I'm working on right now, The Black Hole, is grief. It's like learning new ways to grieve so that we can uplift one another, right? So not avoiding the discomfort. I think that's really important. It's like when we shut down freeways, protesters are shutting down freeways or subway stations. It's like, I feel inconvenienced. Yes, that's just a small bit of what white supremacy has done to people of color in this country. So let's lean in as an entire culture. Let's lean into that discomfort in order for something to shift.
So I want to thank Sarah Crowell, Artistic Director from Destiny Arts in Oakland, and Reverend Christie Hardwick, joining us from St. Petersburg, Florida, part of the SoulCall Ministry team. It's an honor to know both of you, and I'm also happy to share that you're going to be my guests again on SoulCall Sunday this week. And we're getting together a special Soul Sessions, a Black Lives Matter Soul Sessions. It's going to air next Wednesday, and you can find out more about all of this. And if you want to send donations to contribute to soulcallministries.org/give, we appreciate that, and it helps us to do good work and bring about education and awareness of love in action. Thank you both again. I love you both, and we'll see you again on Sunday morning. And for those of you out there, stay safe, be loving in action, and know that you are loved.